Okay, we got portal news, hoops, basketball, we got spring football, and other news. Let's get to it.
Okay, what is it tonight?
Okay, so portal news, and it's not just about hoops and football. Rutgers wrestling loses their biggest star as Dean Peterson, ranked number 11, is entered the portal, and he will be wrestling elsewhere with 1 year of eligibility remaining. 125 pounder, 3-time NCAA qualifier, 2-time blood round participant. That's where you win and you're in. You get All American honors. And 3-time place winner in the Big Ten championship, multiple Big Ten Wrestler of the Week honors. He finishes Rutgers 62-28, 15-8 in the Big Ten. Maybe a little bit of a surprise. He was a 2-time state champ, 3-time state finalist at St. John Vianney with a 108-2 record. I would have thought maybe it just goes to show you how tough the Big Ten is in wrestling. It's by far the hardest athletic conference in NCAA athletics. He was one of the top recruits on the number 126 pounder, rated by Flow Wrestling during his recruitment. So, we lose Dean Peterson. And we also lose 184-pounder Brian Soldano. He missed a lot of the season with a concussion. He should have 2 years of eligibility left. Receives a medical red shirt. He was locked into a battle with Shane Cartagena-Walsh. He suffered a concussion at the Midlands, which ended his season. He had talk about up and down. He had he pinned 8 straight wrestlers, including Big Ten champ and Illinois All-American Edmund Ruth. Another guy in high school, 127-5. He closes with 75 straight wins, 3 state titles at High Point. He was kind of inconsistent and had some bad losses this year. Nonetheless, we also lose Joe Fangaro at 141, he was a state champ, and Luke Geyer at 165. Those guys, Fangaro should have 2 years of eligibility. Geyer 1. Neither were regular starters. Nonetheless, Dean Peterson's departure leaves the door open for Aiden Smith, redshirted. He can jump into the lineup as a freshman next year at a Notre Dame Green Pond. I want to say, what was he? A 3 or 4-time regional champ, 2-time state champ in Pennsylvania. I don't remember. Remember doing a recap of his career during the summer. Nonetheless, on to basketball and Jay Will receiving lots of interest. Nebraska, USC, Penn State, Virginia Tech, Xavier, VCU, and George Washington all showing interest in Jay Will. We'll see where he winds up. Lathan, we talked about the other day how he visited Washington, and he commits to Washington. Yikes. I mean, what is it with Washington? First Mulcahy, now Lathan. They were 13-18, 4-16 in the Big Ten, 18th in the conference. Like Richie was saying today on the night report, he's probably just chasing the bag, and he'll probably be that guy that re-enters the portal. But at some point, you got to set down some roots and develop a style. And Washington, I think, is just going to be a continuation of Rutgers. They averaged 71.5 points per game, a few points less than we did, but they gave up 76.5 points per game, which is about what we gave up, maybe 78, I think we gave up. So Lathan fits right in. Good enough offense, not great on defense. We'll see what happens with Lathan and how well he does. And I get why people may not care as much about him. He's kind of one-dimensional and a bag chaser who will always have, 1 foot out the door. Nonetheless, Lathan is gone, and Tyreek Francis is a guy that might report is reporting. It's a guy that we're hot on the trail of. He has a good relationship with Brandon Knight. Okay, I kind of get that. Brandon Knight is the guy that's going to attract talent. He has a good relationship there, but I got to say, the low major. So I've said how chasing after highly recruited transfer board guys, highly rated high school recruits, paying guys $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million. We don't need to do that. Let's get back to grit, determination, defense, get long, get athletic, get more defensive, play the way that Steve Pikiell coaches it. But I don't think that means you have to go back to try and pick up these low major. I mean, he's 6 foot, 180, 19 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists per game. Rated 3 stars in the portal. He's from Washington, Pennsylvania. I don't know, man. The NJIT was 6-25 and 3-13 in the America East, whatever the hell conference that is. I could see if NJIT was good, right? Winning record. He's your top guy. He's ready to take the next step up, and maybe he is anyway, but I'm not sure. Nonetheless, 84% free throw shooter, which is great. He would have been second on the team behind Lathan this year. 37% field goal shooter, not good, and 32% from 3. That's J. Mike territory. J. Mike upped his game this year from 22 to 32%, so you have a couple guys in the backcourt that, I don't know. I'd rather have if he was 6'5", 6'6", played lockdown defense, and he shot 32% from 3, I might feel a little better about it. But nonetheless, I don't love this. But we'll see what happens. I mean, there's good guys in the portals. There's a lot of movement going on. A lot of top guys still available. Iowa just lands Bennett Sturts. He was the top guy that was left in the portal. There's a lot of guys left. Top pick and roll guy. He was the number 1 overall transfer. So I think we can aim a little higher. We can get guys from Illinois, Iowa, Washington. Nonetheless, that's where we are in the portal for basketball. Rutgers football lands its 7th commit for 2026. 3-star Florida defensive back who will likely be safety at Rutgers, and we always trust Coach Yano with the defensive backs, and it's Sebastian Cruz. He visited this past weekend, and I know what it is that made him commit. It was that 80 degrees on Saturday that made him feel like he was back in Florida. Sorry, Sebastian, it's New Jersey. Went down to 40 degrees that night. Nonetheless, we're going to need him. The recent strength of schedules came out for the Big Ten, and we have the second toughest Big Ten conference schedule. Yes, we're going to have Ohio State and Penn State, Oregon, Iowa, and it's the third toughest overall schedule in the conference. Not going to be an easy road ahead. We're 30-31 in recruiting rank. If we stay there, it's really not going to matter. Talked about this a million times. Executing on the field does. And despite us making strides administratively and recruiting-wise, still have to win on the field. It's going to be a tough season. Nonetheless, during his last season at Fleming Island High School in Orange Park, Florida, Sebastian recorded 75 solo tackles, 39 assisted tackles in 12 games. He was a running back, a kick returner. 15 carries, 52 yards, 3 touchdowns, 28 kickoff and punt returns for 591 yards. He had a lot of decent offers, actually. Iowa State, West Virginia, SMU, a bunch of group of five schools. But oddly enough, in the odds tables, Army, Iowa State, and SMU were considered to be the landing spots before Rutgers, but we wind up landing him. And one interesting thing about him is his speed, 4.40. And, I watched a little bit of him on video, not a ton of them. I try not to watch the older, stuff when, like you're a freshman or sophomore. And it might have been, what was it, the Targum Night Report, whoever it was talking about how he occasionally gets caught out of position, but because of his speed, he can catch up to. But I watched him, and he has a very upright running stride. And it doesn't matter if he's caught out of position and chasing down a receiver, or if he's running the ball on a kickoff, or carrying it as a runner, or making a tackle. He's always really upright, and he's going to need to get a little lower center of gravity. Because once you get to the Big Ten, you're going to need to be able to make those cuts, change of direction, and change speed on a dime. And when you're running upright like that, you get caught out of position, in the Big Ten and playing with the big boys. It might not matter that you run a 4.40. So he, I think, maybe needs to work on his technique a little bit, and hopefully has some really good upside there. Good luck to Sebastian. We now have 7 commits in class of 2026, and that makes us 31st in the nation according to 247. And Sebastian joins linebacker Joey Kopak, lineman Donovan Johnson on the defensive side. In addition, the wide receivers, Daisir Carter, Elias Koch. We also have athletes Whitey Collier, Chris Hewitt Jr. Off to a pretty good start for 2026. We'll see where we wind up. Please execute on the field. Robb Smith talked a little bit today. We went over the other day about Kirk Shiraka and some of his comments and insights. Robb today, he looked happy to be back. He said he was ecstatic to be back, and he really looked it. He was upbeat. He was positive. He said the biggest thing for guys on the defense is how they communicate and how well they play together, execute together, and how well they swarm the ball with a new system on defense. Boy, I got to say, the other day, somebody was offended that they saw me imbibing on video, and they thought it was really weird. I kind of commented, you must have never seen the guys from Chat Sports. Boy, those guys, they'll shotgun some beers, they'll pound down some Henny, but I work in wine and spirits. I'm a wine and spirits professional, certified wine and bourbon guy. So I'm always going to talk a little bit, sip a little something, especially when it comes to, Eric's Bottlings. I mentioned this the other day. He's going to have a new bourbon out this coming fall. It's going to be something exciting. It's going to be something that you're going to like. So we'll talk about that. When the time comes, back to Robb Smith, asked about the pass rush. Might have been Fonseca. Fonseca always gets a couple questions in there. And, basically Robb said it's usually not just about the guys who are tasked with putting the pressure on up front. It gets back to what he was talking about, everybody communicating and playing in sync and coordination with each other. You can't have any breakdowns anywhere. And that will hopefully make the pass rush get better. That's basically it. That's it for the week. This is the time of the year where we kind of pay attention to the news. So if anything else comes up, we'll be sure to get back on video and chat with you guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. Yes, cheers, and we'll see you the next time.